Hi, everyone. Welcome back to No Time for Neutral. I'm your host, Georgia Hawthorne.
And I'm Andy.
Andy, I don't know how it is in Missoula, but it is gorgeous here in Great Falls today. It is
Yeah,
so sunny.
it's pretty darn warm. I've been walking around the last couple days in nothing but this.
I ran an errand in shorts the other day.
Wow.
I'm trying to appreciate the sun, but also it's February. Why is it
Yeah.
60 degrees outside?
Yeah. And also the weather patterns are just really strange in the fact that it's like 50 degrees here in Western Montana, but it's
Right.
like frigid on the East Coast and in the
Yeah.
Midwest.
Yeah. I saw
Sure.
birds flying north already the other day. That one was weird.
Hmm. Not
But
quite time for that.
yeah. But anyway, Chrissy Jacobsen is still in the news and still causing problems. This has been a running segment for the last couple of weeks since she sent out her stupid postcard.
Mhm.
Reminder that cost $197,000, and we still don't know if she used taxpayer money for it because she refuses to tell anybody. But what we do know is that on the postcard, she touts that she's using Trump's new election integrity tool, and it's called the SAVE tool. And what the SAVE tool essentially is it's a federal government database and program that's used to verify citizenship for things like benefits, driver's licenses, and you guessed it, voter registration.
Hmm.
But in order for this tool to work, it needs private information to identify you, like your social security number or your full name and date of birth. And Chrissy is already out here telling everybody that she's already used this tool to identify 23 potential non citizens who are registered to vote here. Okay. So, what I want to know, and what I think everyone would like to know, is Chrissy Jacobsen handing out our private personal information to the feds? Hi, y'all. Bit of an editor's note here. An hour after Andy and I finished recording yesterday, news broke that Chrissy Jacobsen gave our confidential voter information to the federal government last fall. This includes partial social security numbers, driver's license numbers, full legal names, and birthdays. Call her office and demand she not give the feds permission to modify Montana's voter rolls because that's their next demand. The following segment is still accurate with the context that we now know for sure. On our dime, no less.
So has she been, I'm assuming she's been asked this question, but
Yep.
has no answer to give at this point?
Also nailed it. Um, she's not answering the question. The people who she's sending into these meetings for her because she's not showing up herself, of course. They're just basically saying, "I can't comment. I can't tell you that." Um, so yeah,
That's infuriating. I mean, if she's actually
right,
giving our private citizen information to the feds when those are meant to be kept here at the state level
right,
without our knowledge, supposedly,
right.
we should have a voice in that.
Yeah, and all of the Montana like right wing talking heads are on the internet being like, you can literally purchase the voter file, blah 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 blah, which is true. You can purchase the list of everyone who's registered to vote in Montana.
But that
We
doesn't include social security
no,
numbers.
no, not at all. When you purchase it, and it's usually for political purposes, like a campaign or something, so that you
Yeah.
can call people, mail people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with your birthday. It doesn't come with your social security number. It doesn't come with your driver's license number. It doesn't come with any of those like really identifying characteristics. It comes with your voting address, your residential address, and your phone number and your name
Mhm.
for the most part.
Mhm.
So
That's
that is
crazy.
entirely different than sending every single registered voter's social security number to the federal government for the purpose of verifying citizenship and like election integrity. Because
Wow.
like that's not what we're using it for.
Just so she can identify these supposed 23
Right.
immigrants that voted illegally,
Right.
which,
It's basically just an attempt to control the voter rolls because they know if they have reason to pull people off of the voter rolls, that less people turn out to vote. And Republicans are so scared right now that
they're
they're going to get their
terrified.
asses kicked in 2026 because they are.
Yeah. They're absolutely terrified. And like for the people listening, like they should know Republicans for years have tried to figure out ways of voter suppression. Like this is voter suppression, folks.
Right. This is
Sorry
just
to
their
tell
newest
you.
version of it.
It's their newest version. The Save Act bullshit, just another form of voter suppression. And
No,
using
right.
your personal information, apparently. That's really aggravating. Is there some sort of call to action our listeners can take,
Yeah,
Chrissy?
I've got two of them actually. First
Great.
one, I need you guys to check your voter registration. Even if you just updated it. Even if you updated it in 2025 for city elections. Double check it just to be sure. Make sure it's active, make sure it has your current address on it because with the way she's acting, you don't want to give her any even the tiniest reason to maybe kick you off the voter rolls because it's going to be a headache to get re-registered. And then after you've double checked that you're registered to vote, you're going to give Christy a call. And her phone number is 406 444 2034. And you're going to demand to know if she's giving our private information to the federal government. And if she is, then she needs to quit because no one signed up for that. No one consented to that. So, yeah, Andy, while we've got Christy off here lying about election integrity and stolen elections and whatever, we've got our congressional delegation lying out their teeth about how this whole no taxes on tips and overtime thing is going to go. Okay.
Hmm.
So you
Okay.
remember the big, beautiful bill. God, how could we forget?
Yeah. No
Um,
kidding.
the bill that gave all of the money to the billionaires and kicked everybody off their health care. And yeah,
Hmm.
it also included these provisions for no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. And that is what Republicans have essentially been told to tout this year. That's what they've given us. Don't worry about the billionaire tax breaks. Don't worry about those because we're going to give you your tip money back.
Right. Because supposedly they're saving low income folks lots of money in
Right.
this like tip area. Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone is an expert in taxes because these things are going to be extremely complicated to claim. So especially if you file at home, if you don't take them into like TurboTax or H&R Block or wherever, if you do them at home, you're gonna have to do some reading because this is gonna be sticky. Only some people are gonna qualify for the overtime deduction, and that's if you qualify under the 1938 Fair Labor Standards Act, which feels like a real long time ago, but also I feel like we maybe could have just had it be open to everybody. Like if you're an overtime worker, then you're not exempt and you should get paid. I feel like that's not complicated.
So what does it even mean to qualify for this act that was implemented 4 generations ago?
Andy, they couldn't even tell you. The
Hmm.
IRS basically is like, I don't really know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with these qualifications. This is really complicated. I need help. And so they've called in the Department of Labor to help them figure out how they're going to do this.
Wow. I feel like they should have figured that out before they told the American people that we aren't being
Right.
taxed on our tips or
Right.
our overtime work.
You remember how we were saying that Republicans never actually fully flesh out an idea?
Hmm.
Mm, mm.
Here we are.
And so while the feds are going to try to figure out the bureaucratic side of this and how who qualifies and how this overtime deduction also assumes that when you work overtime, you only get paid time and a half. So if you get paid double time or more than that or somewhere in between that, you can only claim the half. So if you make $30 an hour and work an hour of overtime, which is $45 an hour at time and a half, you only get to claim that $15 in your overtime. And you can only claim that $15 if you work 40 hours and over 40 hours in that week. So I know there's some employers where it's like, okay, you have a 6 hour shift. And if you work over that 6 hours, you go into overtime. It's not
Right.
necessarily a 40-hour thing, it's a shift thing.
Hmm.
Under this, the way I understand it, if you do shift overtime, even if your employer classifies it as overtime, if you don't work 40 hours in that week, the feds don't classify it as overtime and you can't deduct it.
Sure.
Um, and the other roadblock in this is that they didn't force employers to start calculating the overtime in July when the bill passed. So if you want to claim your overtime this year, this spring, you're going to have to do it yourself with pay stubs and timesheets and all of that. And it's basically going to be your burden to bear if you want to claim it this year. Um, so yeah, basically it's a big mess, as if taxes weren't already hard enough.
Yeah, that's some messy, messy stuff. Especially like if the IRS doesn't even know how to do this. How are we supposed to know how to do this?
Right. And it's because overtime is a labor thing. Like that's a labor regulation. And
Right.
so when you start talking about taxes in relation to a very specific labor structure, and then you're going to make the qualification based on said labor structure, like I don't know what they expected. Like we could have just, I don't know. I mean, granted, I'm not a labor expert and I'm surely not a tax expert, but I feel like there were about 800 different ways we could have done this that would have been a little bit better than this.
Right. Right. Starting with them like knowing what their plan was before telling us, like they're not going to tax the overtime, they're not going to tax our tips.
Right.
And also, like, just gotta say it, not like allowing us to not tax our tips and our overtime is truly no excuse for the tax breaks that billionaires are getting. Like, it doesn't
Right.
even compute, how well off they're letting them get by
Mm-hmm.
compared to the everyday working person. There's
Right.
just like no comparison.
Right. I saw a stat regarding inflation that lower income people have been forced to pay like an extra like 5% of their income or something like that when it comes to inflation, whereas
Mm,
for wealthy people it's only 2%
right.
of your annual income, which is significant, especially because you figure that that 2% is they're making more already.
Right.
They're paying less in proportion and they're making more.
Hmm.
So yeah, they'll give you some tip money back, some overtime money back if you can figure it out, because nothing says the party of fair taxes like having to hire an accountant. But
Right. And also, like the majority of low income middle income people probably don't work a tip job and probably don't work a job that allows for overtime.
right,
Like many of these industries do have tip professions. Yes, that is reality. But the majority of people of low income are not getting tips and
right.
are not getting overtime work. You see what I'm
And
saying?
the tips thing is tricky anyways, because if you're trying to claim a deduction for your tips this year, you have to make sure that your tips are reported to your employer
Hmm.
if you're going to claim them. If you try to claim tips that are unreported, you're going to have to pay Social Security and Medicare taxes on them, which would
Oof.
probably just wipe your refund.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, more complications, more headaches. So if either of these things apply to you, I call a friend, call an accountant, call somebody who knows more about taxes than I, because this is not legal advice or financial advice. Um, and get ready because April's coming up soon, folks.
Yeah. Don't call me.
Well, Andy, the government did shut down, but it's
Yes.
open again.
Right.
So, relatively crisis averted.
Yeah.
Late last week, Schumer managed, in a rare move, to get his way. Senate Democrats don't get their way very often, but they did this time. So, Congress was running up on this January 31 deadline to fund the
Hmm.
government last week, and the House
Hmm.
had sent a full package over to the Senate with DHS funding included. The DHS funding was not separated in the House. But then once the Senate received the package, they did separate DHS funding. So they were able to vote to fund every other agency for the rest of the fiscal year, which thank God, it's about time we funded something for longer than 2 months, guys. Thank God. And they completely separated DHS funding from that vote.
Hmm.
which is best case scenario. We're going to see benefits were dispersed, layoffs were minimal, and it was a very short time period. And
Hmm.
frankly, the only reason the government actually shut down was because the House decided they didn't need to be in DC.
Yeah,
That
they
was
weren't
it.
even there.
It went back to the House Friday night. Had that House been in town, they could have easily avoided the shutdown. But no, they were on recess. And so we had to wait until Tuesday
Right.
because they have to get their vacation time in. But so they passed a continuing resolution. We've talked about these before, a CR, for 2 weeks on DHS funding. And the purpose of that CR is to give negotiation time.
Right. So it's a temporary band-aid
Right.
for 2 weeks, DHS funding, which is Department of Homeland Security, right?
Yes.
Okay.
DHS, Department of Homeland Security, houses ICE. It houses Border Patrol. And so when Alex Preddy was killed in Minneapolis, in the middle of all of these funding talks, things just kind of exploded, and that's how we got to where we are now.
Yep.
Um, Congress has until February 13th to strike a deal. Otherwise, the Department of Homeland Security will shut down. Nothing else will. This is the only agency it's attached to. Um, Democrats are asking for body cameras. Kristi Noem said earlier this week that they are deploying body cams to Minneapolis, which is one pressure works. She wasn't
Absolutely.
she wasn't going to do that out of the goodness of her heart.
Yeah. Yeah. That has been a fight alone to get ICE agents to wear body cameras.
Right. But
Yeah.
also, two, it's important to get that written down and put into law
Absolutely.
because Kristi Noem could decide tomorrow that she doesn't actually want the body cameras there if Congress
Right.
doesn't do its job and put it into law.
Right. Like it wasn't even that long ago that regular police officers started wearing body cameras. And that
Right.
was a fight from
Mm-hmm.
American people, just like this, to make local police forces
Right.
wear body
And
cameras.
it still is because half the time they
Mm,
don't even use them correctly.
that's true. Yeah.
So like there's another fight, but another ask is no masks. You don't get to walk around communities with guns and take people out of their homes and cover your face while you do it.
Right.
Simply put. And that's not because like we want them to be threatened or whatever. It's because you are a federal employee
Yeah.
acting on behalf of the state.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that job without your face being visible, then there's an issue.
Hmm.
If you won't say, hi, yes, my name's Georgia Hawthorne and I work for the Montana Democratic Party, here's my face, maybe you're in the wrong profession. Just saying.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's like a human nature question here. Like people will do some crazy ass shit when they know that other people can't see their face. End
right.
of story. So
Yeah.
get rid of the mask.
Yeah. Another ask is judicial warrants, not administrative warrants. This has
Mm,
also been a fight for a while since I started their increased operations. Basically, what an administrative warrant is a dude at a desk being like, yeah, sure, that's good with me. That's about all of the legal weight that an administrative warrant has. Whereas, like a judicial warrant, like signed by a judge that says, like, yes, you have probable cause to enter, like, to arrest, to whatever it is.
yeah.
That's a lot different than DC bureaucrats just being like, yeah, whatever, bro.
Yeah.
So it's time to bring back some like integrity into this process and some oversight. And speaking of oversight, how about we get some transparent and impartial investigations going while we're at it?
Yeah.
Um, because the feds don't get to do whatever they want to do and then come in and control the whole investigation with no oversight.
Yeah. I
No.
truly want to, like, frankly, see some justice served with
Yeah.
the folks that were murdered in Minneapolis. Um, yeah, for sure.
I'd
Accountability,
like to see a
oversight.
lot of arrests and a lot of convictions on a lot of different things.
Hmm.
Renee,
Well, I'm
Alex, the Epstein files. We got a new drop of those, Andy.
that's a whole nother bag of
I
worms right
know.
there. But yeah, this is great. I'm glad to see Democrats are, putting these demands forward, um, still holding the line on funding for the Department of
Hmm.
Homeland Security because, like the things you outlined, body cameras, masks off, um, judicial warrants, like this is all really important stuff that can
Hmm.
prevent more cold-blooded murders in the street, um,
Right.
can prevent, poor little kids like Liam
Liam.
Ramos being used as bait and then sent to a awful facility in Texas, like it's
Hmm.
truly horrific the things that we've seen in the
True.
news. And
It's awful. But we're getting it moving at a state level too, which I think is really good news. Senator Ellie Boldman out of Missoula, she has requested bill drafts to hold ICE accountable in much of these same ways. Body cameras, no masks. You can't go into schools, churches, hospitals, things like that.
yeah,
Granted, the legislature is not in session until 2027, but I think there is still some value and some power in being like, oh, don't you think you're getting away with that? Like, we're not forgetting about this. Like, we're not having a new election cycle and saying, oh, it's fine. Like, amends are made, all is well.
yeah,
Like, no, like, we still have things that have to change.
right.
We just have to win the election to do so.
hmm Speaking of Ellie, she was one of a handful of Montana
Hmm.
legislators that went to Minneapolis last week
Yeah.
to put some boots on the ground and see what's going on in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Um, I think it was a collection of legislators from both Missoula and Bozeman area.
Mhm.
Shelley Fiant from Arlee, Morjos, Seconders. Anyway, lots of politicians from Montana went out.
Right.
Cora Newman, I think, led the charge, and
Yeah, she was the one who actually organized it. It was like a day of solidarity in Minneapolis with Minnesota state legislators, and Senator Cora Newman was one who organized it actually. She basically just reached out to all of her counterparts in other states and said, "Hey guys, we got to do something about this because if we don't, no one's gonna."
yeah,
And so they all got together and had really good discussions about how to move forward in their own states. They held vigils, they went to rallies. It was really heartening for me. Like knowing you have fighters there is
yeah,
so empowering, I think. Because like we are in the minority here.
yeah,
But like that doesn't mean we don't have a voice. That doesn't mean we can't do things.
yeah. It's a strong showing of solidarity that I think is important. I mean, that's why they are elected to do what they do, is to stand up for their constituents. Um, Gosh, even like Republicans in Montana, I know would not be okay with ICE agents coming into their small towns, and like
Yeah,
ripping people out of their homes. Like this is uncharted territory, which unfortunately is being approved by this Republican administration led by Donald Trump, and like unfortunately partisan politics are at play, but like people's lives are on the line here. This is not normal. I
right,
mean, for example, just the incident that happened in Freud with
right.
the dad that was taken from his home away from his wife and five children, lived in Montana for 10 years, had been a member of the community, a football coach. Like this
Diesel
is
mechanic. He ran.
crazy.
He made their school buses run. Like he helped like all of the farmers like keep their equipment running. And
Yeah.
we posted a video from Jason Beaushore, who's one of our board members, that's garnering a bit of traction online. And in it, he says something along the lines of, "I don't think these guys understand how hard it is to live in rural America and rural Montana because Roberto was there for 10 years and he was a football
Mhm.
coach and he created a business and he like served his community and he did everything right, except he didn't have the money or the paperwork or whatever these guys determine makes a person no longer illegal because the immigration process in this country is so beyond impossible to navigate that
Mhm.
like if you're showing up and you can be a decent person in your community and raise a family and give back, why are we stalking him in his mechanic shop? Why are we
Yeah.
following his kids to school in
Yeah.
Freud? This isn't Missoula. This isn't like a big city thing. We're talking middle of nowhere, eastern Montana.
Mhm.
So don't like. when they tell you like, oh, it's only happening in Minneapolis because they're causing problems, it's not.
Yeah.
I
And this
promise you
won't
that
be,
Troy, Montana is not having like thousands of people come out to protest on No King's Day. Like,
mhm. Yeah. And like Freud is, I mean, just one of potentially many more incidents like this happening in rural America. Like people need to wake up because this is going to be happening in more communities if we don't stand up and do something about it.
I'm like shaking because like everyone wants to talk about how like Montana's biggest export is its people.
Yeah.
Like we always talk about how we don't have enough people here to run the farms. We don't have enough people here to staff the hospitals. Like
Yeah.
we don't have enough bodies, but then when we have the people here who are willing to do it,
Yeah. That
federal
one, I mean,
government decides no.
the Freud incident really hits home for me. I mean, Freud is 14 miles north of the town I grew up in, and the house that Orozco lived in with his family was literally the house that my high school ag teacher raised his family in when I lived out there. So
Oh
like
my goodness.
this like it really hits home for a lot of people, and if we don't fight back, this is going to touch everybody.
Right. And it's not like it was just like some random dude either. And like everyone's like, oh, just because he's a mechanic doesn't like give him like a free pass. And like, sure, I guess. But like, he was the only one who fixed the school buses without having to go over to North Dakota and drive an extra like 30, 40 miles. That's significant in rural Montana. That's not, oh, yeah, whatever, they'll figure it out. Like, that's a big deal.
Hmm. Yeah. And one thing about small towns is like there's so few people that every person has a special role in that community.
Mhm.
You know, you have your pastor, you have your bartender, you have the school cook, you have the guy that fixes the buses. Like everybody's role is important. And I think that's
Right.
why the town of Freud is so angry
Yeah.
because this guy was a member of their community. He was a neighbor. And people, we got to stand up for our neighbors.
They drove 7 hours on no notice to get to his hearing in Great Falls.
Yeah.
That is showing up for your community if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
But when they tell you that ICE isn't terrorizing our communities, I'm calling bullshit every single time. But Andy, I have numbers. I have a little numbers recap for us.
Hmm.
I've got a lot of statistics that I think are interesting today.
Cool.
The Minority Committee of Senate Banking, led by Elizabeth Warren, they put out a new report this week that found Americans paid an extra $2,120 last year because of inflation,
That's staggering.
including an extra 150 on groceries and $123 on electricity.
Wow.
$2,000.
Wow. That is a huge jump for a year-to-year inflation rate. Keep in mind, Donald Trump's been president for over a year, people. He was supposed to make everything cheaper.
Oh yeah, when it's still Biden's economy. Whatever, bro.
Whatever, bro. Oh, that's
Also,
awful.
yeah. Also today, ultra mega evil billionaire Jeff Bezos, who also now owns the Washington Post,
Yeah.
he laid off 1/3 of their journalists today
At the Washington
at
Post?
the Washington Post.
Oh, gosh.
He wiped their sports desk. He wiped their Ukraine desk. He wiped their Middle East desk. They're
Wow.
completely restructuring their metro section. So, like, their local DC coverage, like, just axes everywhere.
See, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up because Jeff Bezos is one of the wealthiest people in the world. And to
Mm-hmm.
run an accurate newspaper like the Washington Post, you can't do it without qualified good journalists. And I don't know. I'm just I'm just saying, but when you live in a fascist society and you get rid of the truth tellers, the journalists,
No,
things aren't
right.
looking good.
Because, like, let me put on a little tinfoil hat here just for a second, for speculation's sake. Sports desk. We're hosting the World Cup. We're hosting the Summer Olympics in 2 years. Those are very political events
Mm-hmm.
in the sports world.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Ukraine desk. Okay.
It's
The
been a
war that's
heated
been
topic
going
for a
for four
while.
years. We're
Yeah.
cutting coverage. Okay. The
Yeah.
Middle East. We've got the whole Israel Gaza situation. We've got US Iran. Like, what isn't
Mm.
going wrong in the Middle East right now?
Yeah.
We're cutting that coverage. We're restructuring the local DC coverage. Like, it's just odd and it's raising like a lot of red flags for me. And granted, I went to journalism school, so I think I'm a little sensitive to
Yeah.
this.
I took lots of journalism classes in college and realized like the importance that it has in our society.
Mhm.
Like there are less and less journalists, like actual journalists working for newspapers these days than there ever has been.
It's because
Like,
everyone has to go independent because media has become paid.
right,
It's become a profit machine. It's not
right.
about objectivity or telling the truth or like knowledge. It's about how much money can you make the CEO?
Yeah. I could go on about like media literacy and the fact that so many American people can't distinguish the difference between fact and opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that alone is, I think, contributing to part of the chaos, especially in the political environment, is like people watching Fox News or even MSNBC. Like much of
Yeah,
the
it goes
content
both ways.
on both channels is opinion, people. It's not all fact.
No,
A lot of it is commentary, and people really should understand the difference.
right. But yeah, so for the Washington Post to say democracy dies in darkness has me like crying in a corner right now because okay, you're sure right, buddy, it does. Thanks for
Mm.
helping us along. Um, but I have good numbers too. So we're
Great.
closing out with the good numbers. There was a
Throw 'em
state
at me.
there was a state Senate race in Texas recently.
Yes. Yes.
It was a Trump plus 17 district in 2024. So Donald Trump won by 17 points. And in this most recent election last week, they elected a Democrat by 15 points.
Yes.
That's a 32-point swing.
Incredible.
If Trump's
Absolutely
17
incredible.
districts are in play, like these guys are toast.
Oh, oh, we got to keep putting in the work, man. I
Oh,
mean,
I know.
the
It's like
midterms
it's
are
like right
still,
there.
yeah. I mean, it's this year, but like it's still months away, but like we still gotta,
Oh yeah. And it's
oh,
like pedal to the metal from here till November because like you don't win races like that just because the news cycles are bad.
yeah,
You
yeah,
win races like that because you put in frickin' work.
right. You put in the work and people are pissed off. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyday working people are realize that this administration does not have them in mind.
Yeah.
This administration, Donald Trump is not working for the people. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't care about the people. He only cares about his billionaire cronies.
Speaking of pissed off people, I saw a statistic this week that Montana was seventh in the nation for calls per capita on 5 calls in January.
Ah, go Montana. That's great. That's so cool. For those that don't know what Five Calls is, it's an app. Just download it on your phone. And it, like, the whole point is to make five simple calls a day that are important. So whether it's your local legislator or, a DC representative, it'll kind of outline those for you. So check it out. Five calls.
And I think you get to like pick a topic and it gives you like a script or like a suggested script so that you don't have to like wait for them to answer and then panic because you forgot everything you were going to say.
Right.
So it makes it really, really easy. And I said it earlier, but again, pressure works.
It does. It
Like
does.
we have not gotten this far and held off as many things as we have by sitting around on our thumbs. I
Yeah,
know calling's annoying. I know all of their responses are so infuriating that you could light the piece of paper on fire, but you have to keep calling because it's the only thing they understand. Is when their offices get so flooded with correspondence that they can barely function.
exactly. Because that signals to them that they might not win their next reelection.
Mm-hmm. And if I were them, I'd be scared.
I would too. Ugh, that gives me hope.
All right, Andy. Well, I think that's what we've got. Check your voter registration, call Secretary Jacobsen. If you've got it in you, call the delegation too for good measure. And we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.